Yo, what's up? I wanted to give my opinion on this whole discourse about fighting games maybe no longer trying to use motion inputs. So, yeah, I wanted to give my personal take on this since I am very passionate about this. So, basically, what started this whole thing, from what I've seen, is that Invisible Versus, one of the new fighting games that are coming out in 2026, will not use regular motion inputs and will instead just use like one button. And I've seen a lot of people saying that fighting games may be trying to go to a direction in which motion controls and classical inputs are no longer a thing and instead are much more simplified and basically dumbed down to the point where it's just one buttons to do like a whole combo or to do a special move or to do an ultimate. And I wanted to chime in a little bit and give my personal take on this because I do think that in a way it's for me it would be a very bad thing for many reasons. One, I understand why they're doing it. I understand why a lot of these companies are trying to dumb down fighting games in order to make it more accessible for beginners, for people who want to get into fighting games but don't want to go through the effort and the time that it takes to learn classical controls and all that. But I feel like trying to just make it easier for a small group of people who will, let's be honest, in 2 weeks will most likely end up not playing the games anymore and just move on from them, which happens. For example, Street Fighter 6, at the start of the month, a lot of people played it. It had like a 30,000 player count, 70,000 player count in a day, and it's impressive, but once it hits like in a month, they lose a large portion of that player base, and then the people who just stick with Street Fighter are people who might have been newcomers and enjoyed the game and decided to put in effort and time, or B, are people who like fighting games and have been playing Street Fighter for many years, like myself, for example. So yeah, like I said, I personally think that going through to a route where fighting games are easier and more simple, it's just very stupid for me because it would just lose all the soul and all the essence of a fighting game. For example, for me, I get a lot of satisfaction from learning a new combo, learning the classical inputs for that new combo. Or for example, when you do like a dragon punch and you gotta do the Z movement, if you don't do it correctly, you get punished for it, and that's a risk. And I like that because it adds a sense of having to do things perfectly and having to put in effort and train so you get those movements correct. And if we lose that, it just makes it kills fighting games. For me, it would kill a fighting game. If fighting games in the near future lose motion inputs, a majority of them, like Street Fighter, like Tekken, like Guilty Gear, or those type of games, Melty Blood, it would make me not want to play fighting games anymore because it'd be too easy to learn that, and there will be no skill gap. There will be no training and no labbing for like 5 hours to perfect just one move or perfect one combo. And yeah, I think it would suck. Now, like I said, I understand why fighting games are trying to take a direction where it's more accessible for people who are newcomers or people who have not played fighting games and want to make it easier for them to get into fighting games and stick with them. But I think that they, instead of trying to dumb it down for everybody else, they should do something like Street Fighter or Tekken, albeit Tekken's is a little bit different, where you have two different types of controls. You have the classical and then you have the modern. The modern only uses one button. For example, you can do a Hadouken with one button, or you can do a level 1 with one button, or a level 2 with one button. But you lose, some of your normal moves, while the classic, you still do the same thing and you keep all your normal moves. Or like Tekken, where you can only do like one specific combo and that's it. If you try to just do like one button move, one button controls and stuff. Now, luckily from what I've seen, the new Arc System Works Marvel game that's coming out, which I'm really excited about, will have something like Street Fighter 6 where they use modern controls and classic. So they'll have like traditional control scheme, and then like a modernized version for people who might want to have an easier time playing the game, which I think is totally fine. Like I said, I think that should be the direction that we should be heading towards, where you add these easier controls for people who might not get the traditional controls. And I get it, you want to get into fighting games, but you don't want to go through that the troubles and the trials and errors of learning a new learning classical controls, because it does take time, especially if you're new to a genre. But like I said, I don't think that making it easier for them and everybody else will make fighting games any better. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about it, because I've definitely seen a lot of discourse and conversation about this, and arguments and stuff. And I think it is a unique thing to be talking about for fighting games. But like I said, overall, if Invisible Versus does have those simple controls, which either way, I feel like Invisible Versus is one of those games that will be popular like in a week, and then after that only like 30 players will be playing it. So yeah, I personally am not gonna get Invisible Versus unless it's like $20. Not only because of that, because I don't really like those just one button inputs, even though I've heard from many fighting game people that the game is actually decent. Even then, I still think that I won't waste like whatever the price is for it, which I don't think it should be that much. But either way, the only way I would get Invisible Versus is if it's like $10 or $20 on sale or something. But yeah, tell me what you think. Do you think that going with modern controls is the right way, or sticking with traditional and adding modern controls is the better way? But yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to get my little opinion on it. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.